If you've ever felt invisible as an older man, this message will wake your power back up. Don't scroll past it. Watch till the end, and you'll understand exactly why she'll never ignore you again. Your age isn't your weakness, it's your weapon. Comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more life-changing motivation. One of the biggest misconceptions that many older men carry is this idea that confidence fades with age. Somewhere along the line, society convinced men that as their hair turns gray, their worth somehow declines. But let me tell you this, confidence isn't a matter of youth, it's a matter of energy. A woman doesn't fall for your age, she falls for the energy you bring into her world. She falls for the quiet assurance that you know who you are, what you want, and where you're going. You see, confidence isn't loud. It's not about showing off, flexing, or trying to prove your relevance in a world obsessed with youth. True confidence is calm. It's composed. It's the kind that walks into a room and doesn't have to demand attention. It attracts it. Because it carries an unspoken message. I'm not here to impress anyone. I'm here because I belong here. And that kind of confidence, that's magnetic. When you're younger, confidence often comes from the approval of others. The compliments, the validation, the chase. But as you mature, confidence should come from within. It should be the product of your experiences, your lessons, your scars, and your victories. Every challenge you've faced has built layers of wisdom that a younger man simply hasn't lived long enough to understand. That's your advantage. That's your edge. Women sense that energy instantly. They can feel when a man is grounded, when he's no longer running from himself or competing with the world. They can sense when a man is at peace with who he is. And that kind of peace, it's rare, it's powerful. Because most people, regardless of age, are still searching for that kind of stability. When you embody it, you become a refuge, not through dominance, but through emotional certainty. The truth is, women aren't drawn to men who look young. They're drawn to men who feel alive. A man who still has curiosity in his eyes. A man who still wakes up with purpose. A man who refuses to let time dull his passion. When you bring that kind of energy into a relationship, it doesn't matter whether you're 40, 50, or 60. She sees you as vibrant, dynamic, and fully alive. So instead of asking, am I too old? Start asking, am I too disengaged? Because confidence isn't built from age or appearance. It's built from engagement with life. The more you invest in your growth, your health, your mind, your sense of humor, your purpose, the more radiant your energy becomes. And that energy, that's what women remember. That's what makes them lean in, listen longer, and never forget you. Confidence is not something you chase. It's something you embody, and the moment you stop apologizing for your age and start owning your presence, that's the moment she stops ignoring you. Remember this, a confident man doesn't try to be noticed. He simply is. And that quiet certainty will always speak louder than anything you could ever say. One of the most misunderstood aspects of attraction, especially as men grow older, is the balance between showing care and preserving mystery. Many men, in an attempt to prove their interest, end up giving too much of themselves too soon. Constant messages, predictable routines, instant replies. They think this will make her feel secure, but in truth, it often does the opposite. It removes the tension, the intrigue, the emotional rhythm that keeps a woman curious. And curiosity, my friend, is the foundation of lasting attraction. You see, a woman doesn't lose interest because you lack something. She loses interest when she feels there's nothing more to discover, when she can predict your every move, every text, every word. She subconsciously files you away as familiar. And familiarity, while comforting, isn't exciting. What keeps her engaged is the sense that there's more to you. Layers she hasn't fully explored, thoughts you haven't fully revealed, emotions you haven't yet shared. Mystery isn't about playing games. It's about maintaining individuality. It's about showing that your life has a pulse that doesn't depend on her presence. You have passions, goals, friends, habits, a world that exists beyond her. And when a woman sees that, when she realizes she's entering the life of a man who's already complete, she's drawn to you with renewed respect. Because women don't want to be your purpose. They want to join a man who already has one. Psychologically, we're wired to value what's not easily accessible. The human mind equates effort with worth. When you make yourself too available, when your world revolves around her, she subconsciously starts to question your value. Not because she's ungrateful, but because easy access reduces emotional investment. When she has to wonder about you, where you are, what you're doing, what's on your mind, her imagination becomes your ally. And imagination is far more powerful than anything you can say directly. This doesn't mean you should withdraw affection or manipulate her emotions. It means you create space, intentional space. You allow moments of silence to breathe between conversations. You take time for your own growth, your own passions, your solitude. That space becomes the magnetic pull that draws her closer, not because you're avoiding her, but because she senses that your life is rich, full, and meaningful. Women don't want men who disappear. They want men who reappear with purpose. Every time she sees you, talks to you, or hears from you, she should feel that you've grown a little more, learned something new, or simply lived fully in her absence. That's what keeps her interested. That's what keeps her inspired. When you master the art of mystery, you no longer chase attention, you command it effortlessly. Because mystery says, there's more to me than what you see. And that statement alone awakens her curiosity, her respect, and her desire to know you deeper. So remember this. You don't need to impress her by being everywhere. You captivate her by being somewhere worth missing. There's something profoundly powerful about a man who leads not with ego, but with emotional intelligence. Too often, men mistake control for strength, believing that dominance, authority, or rigid logic is what earns a woman's respect. But the truth is, what truly captures her heart isn't your ability to command, but your ability to connect. A woman never forgets how a man makes her feel safe, seen, and understood. That emotional impact lasts far longer than any grand gesture or surface-level charm ever could. When a man operates from ego, every disagreement becomes a battle, every opinion a challenge, and every emotion a threat to his identity. But when he operates from emotional intelligence, he no longer reacts to every spark. He observes, understands, and then responds with intention. He doesn't need to win every argument. He seeks to understand the emotion beneath it. Because beneath every complaint, every moment of silence, every shift in tone, there's a deeper message, a need for reassurance, empathy, or acknowledgement. And a man who can read that language without judgment stands out instantly. You see, emotional intelligence isn't about becoming overly sensitive or submissive. It's about mastering composure. It's about understanding your own emotions so well that they no longer control you. When you're calm under pressure, thoughtful in conflict, and deliberate with your words, you create an atmosphere where trust can thrive. A woman feels emotionally safe around a man who doesn't explode, withdraw, or mock her feelings. She opens up. She lets you in. And when she does, that's where real intimacy begins. Philosophically speaking, emotional intelligence is an evolved form of strength, one that merges wisdom with awareness. It says, I've learned enough about life to know that not every situation needs a reaction. Some just need understanding. It's the balance between power and patience, between assertion and empathy. And it's that balance that separates a man who merely dates women from a man who deeply moves them. When you listen not just to reply but to understand, you shift from being another man in her life to being the man who truly gets her. Because in a world full of noise, being understood is a rare kind of peace. And women gravitate toward peace, toward a man who brings clarity instead of chaos, warmth instead of war. So don't mistake emotional intelligence for weakness. It's the highest form of masculine strength. It's what allows you to lead not through intimidation, but through inspiration. It's what turns ordinary conversations into meaningful exchanges and turns fleeting attraction into lasting connection. When you learn to lead with emotional awareness, you no longer have to chase validation, you become it. Because the man who understands emotion without losing control doesn't just win her attention, he earns her trust, her loyalty, and her respect. And remember this, a man who masters his emotions doesn't just win love, he commands it effortlessly.